Dr. Hana Kim pressed her gloved hand against the cold metal wall of the research ship. The vibrations told her they were getting close to something big. Very big. Captain Taiyang. "We have a massive object on the scanner," called out Lieutenant Minyo Park from the navigation station. His voice carried worry. "It looks like a ship, a really large ship." Captain Jun Taeyang moved to the main screen. The image showed a twisted mass of dark metal crashed into the rocky surface of the small moon below. The ship was easily 5 times larger than their own research vessel. "What do you think, Dr. Kim?" Captain Taiyang asked. "You're our alien expert." Hana studied the wreckage carefully. The design was unlike anything in their databases, but something about the curved metal plates and the way they overlapped reminded her of scales. Dragon scales. "I think it's Draknari," she said quietly. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew about the Draknari. They were the monsters that parents used to scare children into behaving. A warrior race that traveled from system to system, consuming everything in their path. Entire human colonies had vanished without a trace when the Draknari found them. "We should leave immediately," said Chief Engineer Sumin Lee, her hands already moving toward the engine controls. "If there are survivors down there." "Wait," Hana said, raising her hand. "Look at the crash site. Look at the damage patterns." The others stared at the screen. The ship had clearly been there for weeks, maybe months. Scorch marks covered the hull. Several sections had been torn open. No other ships were in the area. "This ship has been abandoned," Hana continued. "Whatever happened here, it happened a long time ago." Captain Taiyang rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "Our mission is to study alien life forms. This could be the chance of a lifetime." "Sir, with respect, this is not some peaceful plant species," Minho said. "These are Draknari. Even one survivor could kill our entire crew." "But what if there are no survivors?" Hana asked. "What if we could learn something that might help humanity understand them better? Maybe even find a way to avoid future conflicts?" The captain considered this for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. "We go down, but we take every precaution. Full environmental suits, weapons ready. And if we detect any sign of life, we leave immediately." An hour later, Hana found herself walking through the twisted corridors of the alien ship. Her suit's lights cut through the darkness, revealing walls covered in strange symbols and decorations. Everything was built on a massive scale, designed for beings much larger than humans. The air inside was thin, but breathable. Her scanner showed no immediate toxins. But there was something else, a faint energy reading coming from deeper in the ship. "Dr. Kim, stay with the group," Captain Taiyang's voice crackled through her radio. "There's something ahead," she replied. "An energy signature. It might be important." Against the captain's orders, Hana moved toward the source of the reading. She followed a corridor that grew wider and wider until it opened into a vast chamber. Her lights revealed what looked like a command center with controls built for giants, and there, lying motionless near the center of the room, was the largest living creature she had ever seen. The Draknari was magnificent and terrifying at the same time. His body stretched nearly 4 meters from head to tail. His skin was covered in scales that should have glowed with bioluminescent light, but now they were dim and gray. Powerful limbs ended in claws that could easily tear through metal. His head was elongated like a dragon from ancient Earth stories, with intelligent eyes that were barely open. He was dying. Hana could see it in every detail. The way his chest rose and fell with difficulty. The way his scales had lost their color. The way his massive frame seemed too thin, as if he had not eaten in months. "Dr. Kim, report your status," came Captain Taeyang's voice. Hana stared at the dying alien. In her career, she had studied hundreds of life forms. She had seen birth and death across a dozen species. This creature should have frightened her. Instead, she felt something unexpected: compassion. "I found a survivor," she said into her radio. "But he's in critical condition." "Get out of there immediately," Captain Taeyang ordered. The Draknari's eyes opened fully and focused on her. They were golden yellow like twin suns. Even dying, they held an intelligence that made Hana's breath catch. He tried to lift his great head but failed. Hana approached slowly. She could see now that he wore what must have been armor, though much of it was damaged or removed. Symbols on his chest plate suggested high rank. This had been someone important. "I'm not going to hurt you," she said softly, knowing he probably could not understand her. The alien's eyes followed her movements. His breathing grew more labored. Hana pulled out her medical scanner and ran it over his massive form. The readings were alarming. Severe malnutrition, dehydration, multiple organ systems shutting down. "Dr. Kim, we're coming to get you," Captain Taeyang announced. "No," Hana said firmly. "He's not dangerous, he's dying." "That's what makes him dangerous. A dying predator is the most unpredictable kind." But Hana was already opening her emergency medical kit. She had basic supplies for treating alien physiology. Not much, but maybe enough to stabilize him. She found a vein-like structure in the alien's arm and carefully inserted an IV line. His golden eyes watched every movement, but he made no attempt to stop her. She began administering a nutrient solution designed for large alien species. The Dreknari made a sound deep in his throat. It might have been words in his own language, but to Hana it sounded like a question. "I'm trying to help you," she said. "I know you probably don't understand, but I can't just watch you die." Over the next several minutes, she worked to stabilize his condition. She gave him water and basic nutrients. She treated several infected wounds. All the while, the great alien watched her with those incredible eyes. When Captain Taeyang and the others finally found her, they stopped in shock at the sight of their scientist calmly treating a Draknari warrior like a patient in a hospital. "Dr. Kim, step away from that creature immediately," Captain Taeyang ordered. "His name is probably something we can't pronounce," Hana said without looking up from her work. "But he's not a creature. He's a person, and he's been alone here, dying, slowly, for months." The Draknari's breathing had improved slightly. Some color was returning to his scales. His eyes had gained a bit more focus. "He could kill you in one move," Minho warned. "He could have already," Hana replied, "but he hasn't. Look at him. Really look at him." The others stared at the massive alien. Despite his size and natural weapons, there was something almost gentle in the way he watched Hana work. Something grateful. "We're taking an enormous risk," Captain Taeyang said. "Sometimes the greatest discoveries require the greatest risks," Hana replied. "And sometimes doing the right thing is more important than doing the safe thing." The Draknari made another sound. This time it almost sounded like he was trying to say thank you in broken galactic standard. Hana smiled and continued her work, unaware that she had just changed the course of galactic history with a simple act of kindness. 3 days had passed since Dr. Hana Kim first found the dying Draknari warrior. She had barely left his side during that time, much to the concern of her crewmates and the growing frustration of Captain Taeyang. The alien's condition had improved, but slowly. His scales were beginning to show hints of their natural blue-green glow. His breathing was stronger, but he was still critically weak, and Hana was running out of medical supplies. "This has gone too far," Dr. Minho Park said as he found Hana in the makeshift medical station they had set up in the alien ship's command center. "You've been awake for 36 hours straight, you need rest." Hana looked up from where she was adjusting the IV drip flowing into the Draknari's massive arm. "He's showing signs of improvement. His cellular regeneration rate has increased by 40% since yesterday." "And what about your cellular regeneration rate?" Minho asked with concern. "You look terrible, Hana. When did you last eat?" Hana paused. She honestly could not remember. She had been so focused on keeping her patient alive that she had forgotten about her own needs. The Draknari's golden eyes opened and focused on the two humans. Over the past few days, he had begun to show more awareness of his surroundings. He watched their conversations with obvious intelligence, even though he could not understand their words. "I'll eat later," Hana said. "Right now he needs another dose of protein synthesis boosters." "We don't have any more protein synthesis boosters," Minho said gently. "We used the last of our alien medical supplies yesterday." Hana felt her heart sink. Without those supplements, the Draknari's recovery would slow dramatically. He might even begin to deteriorate again. She looked at the massive alien lying before her. Even weakened, he was an impressive sight. His scales had begun to shimmer, with faint patterns of light. His claws, though still deadly, seemed to move with careful precision when he shifted position. Most remarkably, his eyes held an expression she had never expected to see in a predator species: gentleness. "What about our human food supplies?" she asked. "Hana, no," Minho said immediately. "Our rations are calculated for a 6-month mission. We can't afford to share them with what? A dying person?" Hana's voice was sharp. "Because that's what he is, Minho. A person, not a monster, not a weapon. A person who was left here to die alone." She moved to her personal storage locker and began pulling out her meal rations. The Draknari watched her with growing interest. "This is insane," Minho muttered. "Captain Taiyang is going to lose his mind when he finds out." Hana began breaking down the human food into components that the alien system could process. She had studied his biology extensively over the past 3 days. His digestive system was surprisingly adaptable, able to break down a wide variety of organic compounds. As she prepared the food, she began to speak to the Draknari in soft tones. She had been doing this since the first day, even though she knew he could not understand her words. "I know you probably think humans are weak," she said as she worked. "Most species do. We're not the biggest or the strongest or the fastest, but we have something else. We have the ability to care about others even when it doesn't benefit us." The alien made a low rumbling sound. It was not threatening. If anything, it sounded curious. "On Earth, we have stories about creatures like you," Hana continued. "We call them dragons. In the old stories, dragons were usually evil. They burned villages and stole treasure. But some stories told of good dragons, wise dragons, dragons who protected instead of destroyed." She approached with the prepared food. The Draknari did not move away. Instead, he carefully lifted his great head and allowed her to help him eat. His movements were deliberate and controlled, clearly designed to avoid accidentally harming her with his size and strength. "I wonder which kind of dragon you are," Hana mused. Over the following days, Hana continued to share her food rations with the recovering alien. She also began teaching him basic galactic standard words. He was a remarkably quick learner, picking up simple phrases within hours. His first clear word was Hana. The way he pronounced it, with his deep, rumbling voice, made her name sound almost musical. His second phrase was "thank you." Captain Taiyang was less impressed when he discovered what Hana had been doing. "Dr. Kim, I need to speak with you privately," he said when he visited the alien ship for his daily status report. They stepped into an adjacent corridor, out of the Draknari's hearing range. "You've been giving him your personal food rations," Captain Taiyang said. It was not a question. "Yes," Hana replied simply. "Do you understand that we're still 2 months away from our next resupply point?" "I understand." "Then you also understand that if you continue this course of action, you could literally starve yourself to save a creature that would probably kill you without hesitation if he were healthy." Hana looked back toward the command center where the Draknari waited. "Captain, with respect, you haven't spent the time with him that I have. He's not what we expected. He's intelligent, careful, even gentle in his own way. And he's been trying to communicate." "Communicate what?" "His name, for one thing. It's Thex Gorvain. And he's not just any Draknari warrior. The symbols on his armor indicate he's a high-ranking commander, possibly even a fleet leader." Captain Taiyang's expression darkened. "That makes him more dangerous, not less. Or more valuable," Hana countered. "Think about what we could learn from him. About Draknari society, their technology, their military strategies. Information that could save human lives in future conflicts. If he doesn't kill us all first." Before Hana could respond, they heard a commotion from the command center. They rushed back to find Chief Engineer Suman Lee standing in the doorway, staring in amazement. Thex had managed to sit up on his own for the first time since they had found him. The scales along his spine were glowing with soft blue-green light. His golden eyes were bright and alert. Most impressively, He was holding a piece of damaged human equipment in his massive claws, examining it with obvious technical interest. When he saw Hana approach, he carefully set the device down and spoke in halting galactic standard. "Hana, help Thex. Now Thex, help Hana." He gestured toward the broken equipment, then toward the humans. His meaning was clear. He wanted to return the favor. Captain Taiyang stared at the scene before him. The massive alien warrior, who should have been their enemy, was offering to help repair their equipment. The creature they had been taught to fear was showing gratitude and a desire to contribute. "Well," Captain Taiyang said quietly, "this changes things." But what none of them knew was that their actions over the past week had already set in motion events that would change the galaxy forever. Far away, in the depths of space, other ships were moving. Ships that carried news of a human research vessel that had made contact with a lost Draknari commander. And some of those ships carried people who were not pleased with this development at all. As Hana settled down beside Thex to help him with the repairs, she noticed something troubling. On her personal scanner, her own vital signs were showing the early stages of malnutrition. She had given so much of her own sustenance to save him that she was beginning to weaken herself. But looking at the gentle giant working carefully beside her, she decided it had been worth every sacrifice. Dr. Hana Kim woke up in the medical bay of their research ship. Her head felt heavy and her vision was slightly blurred. The last thing she remembered was working alongside Thex to repair a damaged scanner. "You collapsed," said Dr. Minho Park, checking her vital signs. "Malnutrition and exhaustion. I told you this would happen." Hana tried to sit up, but Minho gently pushed her back down. "How long was I unconscious?" 8 hours. But don't worry about your patient. He's been quite busy." Through the medical bay window, Hana could see the alien ship. Lights were flickering throughout its hull in patterns she had never seen before. Sparks of energy danced between damaged sections as repairs took place. "He's fixing his ship?" she asked in amazement. "More than that," said Chief Engineer Suman Lee, entering the medical bay with a tablet full of readings. "He's integrating some of our technology with his, and he's being incredibly careful not to damage any of our equipment in the process." Captain Taiyang joined them, looking troubled. "We've been monitoring his work. His ship's power systems are coming online. Weapons, engines, everything. You think he's going to attack us?" Hana asked, though something in her heart rejected the idea. "I don't know what to think anymore," Captain Taeyang admitted. "But I want you to know that he asked about you, several times. In fact, when you collapsed, I've never seen a creature look so frightened." Hana felt strong enough to stand. Against Minho's protest, she made her way to the alien ship. She found Thex in what appeared to be his ship's engineering section. He had grown stronger over the past week. His scales now glowed with their full, bioluminescent beauty, creating patterns of light that were hypnotic to watch. When he saw her, his great head turned and his golden eyes widened with what could only be relief. "Hana alive," he said in his deep, rumbling voice. His galactic standard had improved dramatically. Thex worried. Thex think, "Hana die because help Thex." "I'm fine," she assured him, though she still felt weak. "What are you doing?" Thex gestured toward the complex machinery around him. "Making ship work, but not for hurt humans. For help humans." "Help us how?" Thex was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his words came slowly, as if he were choosing each one carefully. "Thex, tell truth now. Thex not just warrior. Thex was fleet commander, lead many ships, conquer many worlds." Hana felt a chill run through her, but she did not step away. "Human worlds?" she asked quietly. "No, other worlds. But Thex know humans exist. No Draknari want to conquer humans too." Thex moved to a section of wall covered in what looked like star charts. His massive claws traced paths between systems with surprising gentleness. "Draknari find peaceful world. Many people, not warriors. Thex told to destroy all. Take world for Draknari Empire." His golden eyes met hers. "Thex say no." "You refused orders?" Thex see families, see children, see people who hurt no one. His voice grew quieter. Draknari way say weak people must die, strong people must live. But Thex think, maybe wrong. Hana began to understand. So they exiled you. Worse. Draknari High Command sent Thex on mission, with no supplies, no backup, no return plan. Mission to die with honor instead of live with shame. Thex's scales dimmed slightly as he remembered. Thex ship damaged in asteroid field. Crew escape in pods. Leave Thex to die alone. Is Draknari? Way. But you didn't die, Hana said softly. No. Hana save Thex. Hana show kindness to enemy. Hana share food, share water, share healing. He paused. Hana show Thex what humans are. What Thex should have been. Before Hana could respond, alarms began, blaring throughout both ships. Captain Taiyang's voice echoed over the communication system. All hands to battle stations. We have incoming ships. Multiple contacts approaching fast. Hana and Thex rushed to the command center of the research ship. The main screen showed the scanner readings. 3 ships were approaching, moving in attack formation. The design was unmistakably Draknari. They found us, Thex said grimly. Are they here for you? Captain Taiyang asked. No. They here for human. Colony. What human colony? Thex manipulated the star chart on the main screen. A system appeared showing a planet marked with human symbols. New Busan, human world, 3-day travel from here. Lieutenant Minho Park checked the database. Confirmed. New Busan colony. Population 200,000. Mostly civilian. The Draknari ships are not stopping here, observed Chief Engineer Suman. They're just passing through our sensor range. Thex's expression grew dark. They hunting, looking for weakness, for easy conquest. Captain Taiyang stared at the screen. Our ship has no weapons. We're a research vessel. Even if we warned New Busan, they only have basic planetary defenses. 200,000 people, Hana whispered. Thex stood to his full impressive height. His scales began glowing brighter, creating patterns that seemed almost like armor. Thex ship have weapons, he announced. Thex know Draknari tactics. Thex help humans. The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the massive alien who had just offered to fight his own species to protect humans he had never met. Why would you do that? Captain Taiyang asked. Thex looked directly at Hana. Hana teach Thex important thing. Strong people protect weak people, not destroy weak people, is true honor. You could be killed, Hana pointed out. Your own people will see you as a traitor. Thex already traitor in their eyes, but now Thex proud to be traitor, proud to choose right path instead of easy path. Captain Taiyang considered the situation. Their research ship was fast but defenseless. The Draknari warships were heavily armed but probably not expecting resistance from one of their own former commanders. What do you have in mind? He asked Thex. Surprise attack. Use Thex ship to disable Draknari vessels. But need human help. Need Hana help. Why Hana specifically? Thex's golden eyes glowed with fierce determination. Because Hana understand Thex, trust Thex, and Thex trust Hana more than trust anyone in Galaxy. Hana felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. 200,000 human lives hung in the balance. The decision to trust a former enemy could save them all, or doom them all. She looked at Thex, seeing not the fearsome warrior he had been but the person he had chosen to become, the person her kindness had helped him discover within himself. I'll do it, she said firmly. Captain Taiyang nodded slowly. Then God help us all. As the 2 ships prepared for battle, neither the humans nor Thex realized that their alliance had already been noticed by forces far more dangerous than a simple Draknari patrol. Word was spreading through the galaxy about the human who had saved a Draknari commander, and the Draknari commander who had chosen humans over his own species. Some saw it as a sign of hope for peace between the races. Others saw it as the ultimate betrayal that could never be forgiven. And somewhere in the dark reaches of space, Ancient powers were beginning to take notice of the small research ship and its unlikely crew. The journey to New Busan took 18 hours at maximum speed. During that time, Thex worked tirelessly to prepare both ships for the coming battle. His knowledge of Draknari technology was incredible, and he shared it freely with the human crew. Draknari. Ships have 3 weak points, Thex explained to Chief Engineer Suman Lee as they worked on modifications to the research ship's shields. Power core junction here, weapon control matrix here, and navigation sensor array here. But our ship has no weapons to target those points, Suman pointed out. No weapons yet, Thex corrected, with what might have been a smile. But Thex's ship have extra weapon pods, can transfer to human ship. Dr. Hana Kim watched the preparations with growing concern. Not about the battle, but about Thex himself. She could see the weight of what he was about to do pressing down on him. He was preparing to fight his own people, possibly kill his own people, to protect humans. Are you certain about this? She asked him privately as they approached the New Busan system. Thex paused in his work on a weapon control panel. His massive claws moved with delicate precision as he made final adjustments. Hana asked if Thex certain about fighting Draknari. I'm asking if you're certain about what it means. Once you fire on Draknari ships, there's no going back. You'll be an enemy to your own species forever. Thex's golden eyes met hers. Thex already enemy to Draknari. They leave Thex to die, remember? But now Thex have new purpose, have humans to protect. You don't owe us anything, Thex. I helped you because it was the right thing to do, not because I wanted something in return. That why Thex must help, he said simply. Hana show kindness without wanting reward, show Thex what honor really means. Now Thex must show same honor. When they arrived at New Busan, the situation was worse than they had feared. The 3 Draknari ships had been joined by 9 more. 12 massive war vessels surrounded the human colony planet. Captain Taeyang studied the tactical display with growing desperation. 12 Draknari dreadnoughts against 1 research ship and 1 damaged alien vessel. This is hopeless. Not hopeless, Thex corrected. Thex no commander of lead ship. Is Cruel Gorvain. Is Thex brother. The humans stared at him in shock. Your brother? Yes. Cruel always follow orders. Never question. Never think for self. Perfect Draknari warrior. There was sadness in Thex's voice. But maybe still have honor somewhere inside. Thex activated the communication system and sent a message on Draknari, military frequencies. His words were in his own language, but the translation appeared on the human screens. Brother Cruel, this is Fleet Commander Thex Gorvain. I claim right of single combat for protection of this world and its people. The response came quickly. Cruel's voice was cold and full of contempt. Thex Gorvain is dead. Died in exile as ordered by High Command. You are imposter. No imposter, brother. Thex lives. Thex strong. Thex challenge you to combat under ancient law. Winner decides fate of human world. There was a long pause. Finally, Cruel responded. You defend these weak creatures. You bring shame to our bloodline. Thex bring honor to bloodline, something you never understand. Another pause. When Cruel spoke again, his tone was different. Curious, perhaps even concerned. What happened to you, brother? What changed you? Thex looked at Hana before responding. Thex learned difference between strength and cruelty. Learned that protecting weak is greater honor than destroying them. The Draknari fleet held position. Hana knew they were debating among themselves. The right of single combat was ancient Draknari law, older than their empire. Even the most bloodthirsty commander could not ignore it without losing face. Combat is accepted, Cruel finally announced. But when I kill you, brother, these humans die anyway. Their world burns. When Thex wins, Draknari fleet leaves human space forever. Agreed. Combat will take place on planet surface. Traditional weapons only. May strongest warrior live with honor. As Thex prepared for the battle, Admiral Yuna Choi contacted them from New Busan's Defensive Command Center. Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Choi of New Busan Defense Force. What is your status? Captain Taeyang explained the situation. There was silence on the other end before Admiral Choi responded. You're telling me that an alien warrior is going to fight his own brother to save our world? That's correct, Admiral. And if he loses? Captain Taeyang looked at Thex, who was checking his armor and weapons. Then we all die together. The single combat took place on a flat plain outside New Busan's main city. Both brothers chose traditional Draknari weapons, energy blades that extended from gauntlets and personal shield generators. Hundreds of thousands of humans watched from the safety of the city. Above, 12 Draknari warships maintained orbit, their crews also watching the battle that would decide the fate of both species' honor. Krul was slightly larger than Thex, and his scales bore the ritual scars of many victories. He moved with the fluid grace of a born killer. You look well for a dead brother, Krul said as they circled each other. The humans fed you well before you betrayed our people. Thex not betrayed Draknari people. Thex betrayed Draknari cruelty. Is different thing. Cruelty is our strength. Mercy is weakness. No, Thex said firmly. Mercy is choice. Choice to be more than just destroyer. The battle began with explosive violence. Krul fought in the traditional Draknari style, overwhelming aggression designed to crush the opponent quickly. His energy blade carved through the air with lethal precision. But Thex fought differently than he had in the past. Instead of matching aggression with aggression, he used strategy. He analyzed Krul's attacks, looking for patterns and weaknesses. He remembered how Hana had approached his medical treatment. Methodically, carefully, always thinking several steps ahead. The watching humans saw something they had never expected. A Draknari warrior fighting not with mindless fury, but with intelligence and precision. Thex blocked and parried, conserving his energy while Krul exhausted himself with constant attacks. You fight like a coward, Krul snarled as his attacks failed to land decisive blows. Thex fight like someone with something to protect, Thex replied calmly. As the battle continued, it became clear that Thex's new fighting style was effective. Krul began to slow down, his attacks becoming less coordinated. Meanwhile, Thex remained steady and focused. The end came suddenly. Krul overextended himself in a powerful strike. Thex sidestepped and brought his energy blade to his brother's throat. Yield, Thex commanded. Krul's eyes blazed with fury and shame. Kill me is only honorable end. No, Thex said firmly. Living with knowledge of defeat is harder than dying. Krul will live. Will remember this day. Will remember that mercy is stronger than cruelty. He stepped back and deactivated his weapon. The watching Draknari fleet stirred with confusion. Sparing a defeated opponent was unheard of in their culture. But Krul was not finished. As Thex turned away, Krul activated a hidden weapon. A small energy blade extended from his boot, aimed at Thex's back. Brother, Krul shouted. Die with honor. Thex spun around and caught Krul's leg, stopping the blade just inches from his scales. For a moment, the two brothers stared at each other. Then Krul's expression changed. The fury faded, replaced by something like wonder. You could have killed me, he said quietly. When you had me defeated, you could have ended it. Yes, but you chose not to. Yes. Krul looked up at the orbiting fleet, then at the human city in the distance. I do not understand this choice. Someday you will, Thex said, helping his brother to his feet. When you are ready to see strength and protection instead of destruction. But even as Thex savored his victory, both brothers knew that their actions had set in motion forces far beyond their control. Word of this battle would spread throughout Draknari space. Some would see it as evolution, others would see it as corruption. And somewhere in the depths of space, ancient powers were already making plans to ensure that this dangerous idea of cooperation between species would never spread beyond this single world. Krul Gorvain lay dying on the plain outside New Busan City. The internal injuries from his battle with Thex were more severe than anyone had realized. As his brother knelt beside him, Krul's golden eyes struggled to focus. Thex, he whispered. Must tell you something. Important. Save strength, brother. Humans have good medical technology, can help you heal. Krul's massive head shook weakly. No time. Listen carefully. This battle was not main force. Dr. Hana Kim, who had rushed down from orbit to help treat the wounded, Draknari felt her blood turn cold. What do you mean? 12 ships. Just advanced scouts, Krul managed to say. Real invasion force. 300 ships. Coming from Draknari home space. Captain Taeyang, who had joined them on the surface, stared in horror. 300 ships? Led by Eternal Broodmother herself, Krul continued, his voice growing weaker. She heard about Thek's alliance with humans, sees it as ultimate corruption, comes to cleanse galaxy of this infection. Thek's scales darkened with grief and rage. When? Soon. Maybe 2 days. Maybe less. Krul's claws reached out and grasped his brother's arm. Thek's actions changed things in Draknari space. Some warriors question old ways now, speak of honor without cruelty. High Command terrified. Good, Hana said fiercely. Maybe it's time your people learned to question orders. Krul's eyes shifted to her. Human female, you are Hana, the one who saved my brother. Yes. In saving one Draknari, you doomed your entire species. Broodmother will not stop with this world. We'll hunt down every human colony. We'll erase your race from existence. The weight of those words hit Hana like a physical blow. Her act of compassion meant to save one life might have condemned billions to death. No, Thek said firmly. Hana not to blame. Thek chose to help humans. Thek chose to fight brother. Is Thek's responsibility? Both of you chose, Krul said. And now, Galaxy will pay price. He coughed, and dark blood stained his scales. But, maybe there is way. Tell us, Captain Taeyang urged. Draknari fleet uses Central Command Network. All ships linked together. If network could be disrupted, ships would be confused, unable to coordinate attacks. How do we disrupt it? Admiral Yuna Choi asked, joining the group via communication from her command center. Krul looked at Theks. Would require someone with fleet commander codes. Someone who knows system intimately. You mean Theks? Hana realized. Yes. But price would be terrible. To access command network, Theks would have to identify himself, would confirm he's still alive, would mark him as greatest traitor in Draknari history. Theks considered this information. If Theks does this, what happens to Draknari who follow? Warriors who began to question old ways. They die too, Krul said simply. Broodmother will see all questioning as infection. Will purge entire fleet if necessary. The implications were staggering. Theks could save humanity, but only by dooming thousands of his own people who had begun to embrace change. Warriors who might have evolved beyond their destructive nature would be killed for the crime of thinking differently. There has to be another way, Hana said desperately. Maybe, Krul whispered. But would require miracle. As if summoned by those words, alarms began sounding across New Busan. Admiral Choi's voice crackled through the communications. All vessels, we have massive contact on long-range sensors. Estimated 300 ships approaching. Arrival in 36 hours. The Eternal Broodmother's fleet had arrived ahead of schedule. Over the next few hours, preparations for the impossible battle began. New Busan's defenses were strong for a colony world, but no match for a full Draknari invasion force. The 12 ships from Krul's advance force had agreed to join the defense, their crews swayed by their commander's example of questioning orders. But even with their help, the odds were hopeless. Theks worked feverishly with human engineers to create a computer virus that could infiltrate the Draknari command network. But accessing that network would require him to broadcast his personal identification codes across all frequencies. Every Draknari in the galaxy would know he was alive and fighting alongside humans. You understand what this means? Hana said, as she found him working alone in his ship's command center. You'll become the most wanted Draknari in history. Theks, already wanted criminal, he replied without looking up from his work. But now Theks worried about followers. Followers. Theks gestured toward the tactical display. which showed the 12 ships that had chosen to defend New Busan. These warriors chose new path because Thex showed them different way. When Broodmother learns of this, she will execute them all. Hana saw the pain in his golden eyes. The weight of responsibility was crushing him. We could try to find another solution, she suggested. No time, and no other options. He finally looked at her. Hana, Thex must ask favor. Anything. If Thex dies in battle, want Hana to remember something. Thex was monster before. Killed many innocent people, destroyed worlds. But Hana kindness changed Thex. Showed Thex better way to live. Thex, please let Thex finish. Want Hana to know that saving one dragon changed everything. Not just for Thex, but for all Draknari who chose to follow. Even if we all die, something new started here. Something that might grow again someday. Tears ran down Hana's face. You're not going to die, we're going to find a way through this. Maybe. But if not, Thex grateful for chance to die protecting instead of destroying. Before Hana could respond, Captain Taeyang's voice echoed through the ship. All hands to battle stations. Enemy fleet has arrived. Estimated time to engagement? 4 hours. As they rushed to their positions, neither Thex nor Hana noticed the figure watching them from the shadows. Krul had managed to drag himself aboard despite his injuries, driven by a purpose none of them understood. The dying Draknari commander had one final secret to reveal. A secret that might change everything. But first, he needed to survive long, enough to share it. Above New Busan, 300 Draknari warships blotted out the stars. At their center sat a vessel larger than anything humans had ever seen. The Eternal Broodmother's flagship was a mobile fortress, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. And aboard that ship, an ancient intelligence older than human civilization, was making final preparations to erase what she saw as the greatest threat to Draknari purity. The dangerous idea that strength and compassion could coexist. The battle for the soul of two civilizations was about to begin. The battle for New Busan began at dawn. 300 Draknari warships descended upon the small colony world like a dark storm. The sky turned black with their hulls, each one larger than a city block. Thex stood on the bridge of his ship, watching, the impossible odds arrayed against them. 13 Draknari vessels and 1 human research ship against the largest invasion force in galactic history. The Eternal Broodmother's flagship alone could destroy everything they had. Thex, came Krul's weak voice from behind him. The injured commander had managed to drag himself to the bridge despite his wounds. Before battle begins, must tell you final secret. Brother should rest. Save strength. No time for rest. Krul pulled himself up to the command console. The virus you created for command network. It good but not enough. Need something more. Dr. Hana Kim joined them, her face pale with worry. What do you mean? Broodmother ship has special defenses, ancient technology. To break through, need administrative access codes. Thex's golden eyes widened. Only High Command has those codes. Yes, Krul said quietly. And one other person. Fleet commander who was condemned to exile. Thex codes not deleted from system. High Command wanted Thex to see fleet destroy humans. Wanted him to watch final victory before he died. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Thex's own access codes could be used against the Broodmother herself. But using codes will do more than identify Thex, Krul continued. We'll broadcast his location to entire fleet. Every ship will target this vessel immediately. Captain Taeyang, understood. A suicide mission. Not suicide, Thex said firmly. Sacrifice is different thing. The first wave of Draknari fighters began their attack runs on New Busan's orbital defenses. The battle had officially begun. Thex, wait, Hana said urgently. What if we could get a message to the Broodmother? What if we could make her understand what we're trying to build here? Broodmother is ancient, has ruled Draknari for 1,000 years, does not change mind. Everyone can change, Hana insisted. You changed. Krul is changing. Even your followers in the fleet are changing. Maybe she can too. Thex looked at the tactical display showing the massive enemy fleet. Very small chance. But still a chance. Before, Anyone could stop her. Hana moved to the communication console and opened a channel to the Broodmother's flagship. "This is Dr. Hana Kim of the human research vessel Harmony's Edge," she broadcast on all frequencies. "I request an audience with the eternal Broodmother." The response came immediately, broadcast across the entire fleet. The voice was ancient and terrible, carrying the weight of centuries. "I am the eternal Broodmother, first among the Draknari, cleanser of the weak. You dare to speak my name, little human?" "I dare to speak truth to power," Hana replied, her voice steady despite her fear. "I want to tell you about your warrior, Thex Gorvain." A pause. When the Broodmother spoke again, her voice carried deadly interest. "The traitor lives. I will enjoy watching him burn. He's not a traitor. He's evolved. He's become what the Draknari could be if you gave them the chance. The Draknari are perfect as we are. We conquer, we consume, we grow strong through the destruction of the weak." "And what has that brought you?" Hana challenged. "Endless war? Constant fear? A galaxy that sees you as monsters?" Another pause, longer this time. Around New Busan, the battle continued to rage, but both fleets were listening to this impossible conversation between a human scientist and the most feared being in the galaxy. "You speak boldly for one about to die," the Broodmother said finally. "I speak honestly because I have nothing left to lose. Thex showed me that even the fiercest heart can choose compassion. He could have killed his brother, but he showed mercy. He could have abandoned us when the odds turned against him, but he chose to stay and fight." "Weakness," the Broodmother hissed. "Strength," Hana countered. "The strength to choose protection over destruction, the strength to build instead of burn, the strength to be more than just a weapon." "And what would you have us become, little human?" Hana looked at Thex, who was listening with amazement. "Guardians, protectors, the greatest warriors in the galaxy, but warriors who fight for something instead of just fighting." The Broodmother's laughter was like the sound of breaking worlds. "You ask me to abandon everything that makes us Draknari. I ask you to embrace everything that could make you greater than Draknari." The communication channel closed. For a moment, the battle seemed to pause as everyone waited to see what would happen next. Then the Broodmother's flagship began to move. The massive vessel descended through New Busan's atmosphere, its weapons trained on the surface. But instead of firing, it landed on the same plane where Thex and Krul had fought their duel. "She wants to meet face to face," Captain Taiyang realized. "Is trap," Krul warned. "Maybe," Thex said, "but also maybe chance." An hour later, Hana found herself standing on the plain outside New Busan City, facing the most terrifying creature she had ever seen. The eternal Broodmother was enormous even by Draknari standards. Her scales were deep black shot through with veins of silver. Her eyes burned with the fire of dying stars. "So," the Broodmother said, her voice shaking the ground, "you are the human who corrupted my greatest warrior." "I'm the human who showed him kindness when he was dying," Hana replied. "Everything else was his choice." The ancient alien studied her with those terrible eyes. "You are not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Someone worthy of destroying my empire." Behind Hana, Thex approached. His scales glowed with nervous energy, but he showed no fear. "Eternal Mother," he said formally, "Thex greets you. Thex Gorvain, you were my finest commander. You conquered 17 worlds for the glory of our people, and now you stand with those who would see us destroyed. Not destroyed, changed, made better." The Broodmother's massive head tilted slightly. "Explain." "Draknari are strong, are smart, are capable of great things, but spend all time destroying instead of building, all energy on conquest instead of creation. What if use that strength to protect instead of consume? We would grow weak, soft." "No," Hana interjected. "You would grow wise. There's a difference between being feared and being respected, between being powerful and being great." The Broodmother looked between them. "And you believe this because of what happened between you two?" "We believe it because we've seen it work," Hana said. Thex didn't become weaker when he chose compassion. He became stronger. Strong enough to defeat his own brother. Strong enough to face an entire fleet. Strong enough to stand here before you and defend what he believes in. For a long moment, the broodmother was silent. When she spoke again, her voice was thoughtful. In my 1,000 years of rule, I have seen the Draknari conquer 100 worlds. I have watched civilizations fall before our might. But I have never seen one of my warriors show the courage that Thex shows now. Courage? Thex asked, confused. Yes, foolish child. It takes no courage to destroy the weak. Any beast can do that. But to stand before your own people and say they are wrong, to choose a harder path because it is the right path, that requires true strength. The broodmother's massive form began to glow with bioluminescent patterns that Hana had never seen before, ancient symbols that spoke of change and renewal. Perhaps, the broodmother said slowly, it is time for the Draknari to dream new dreams. The transformation that followed was gradual but undeniable. Over the following months, the Draknari began to change. Not all of them, and not without resistance, but enough to start something new. The invasion fleet became a protection fleet. Draknari ships that had come to destroy New Busan instead remained to defend it from other threats. Thex was appointed as the first joint human Draknari fleet commander, with Hana as his cultural advisor. Some Draknari rejected the new ways and continued their old patterns of conquest. But many others, inspired by Thex's example, began to see strength in protection rather than destruction. On the first anniversary of their meeting, Hana and Thex stood on the bridge of their new ship, the Hope of Two Worlds. Through the viewports, they could see human and Draknari crews working side by side. Do you ever regret it? Hana asked. Giving up everything you once were? Thex's golden eyes reflected the stars beyond. Thex not give up anything important. Thex trade destruction for creation. Trade fear for respect. Trade conquest for protection. He turned to look at her. Hana gave Thex new life when she shared food and water. But more than that, Hana gave Thex new purpose. New way to be strong. And you gave humanity something just as valuable, Hana replied. You showed us that even our greatest enemies can become our greatest friends. That understanding is more powerful than any weapon. Their ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying both species toward a future that neither could have imagined alone. Behind them, the galaxy was beginning to change, one act of kindness at a time. In saving one starving dragon, Hana had indeed given all she had, and in return, he had given everything, not just to her, but to two entire civilizations learning, to dream of something better than endless war. The age of mindless conquest was ending. The age of guardianship had begun.